The skies over Kyiv don't feel like airspace anymore. They feel like memory. Fractured, frozen, waiting to snap. We've flown these routes for years. But now, the clouds push back. Radar tracks ghosts. MiG-29 systems lock, then vanish. And always the same shape, pacing just out of view. An old fighter, Red Tail number 27, flying formation, like the war never ended. One pilot came back, but something was wrong. He landed clean, no damage. But his voice? It answered to a call sign we didn't give. We pulled the black box data. It looped only one sentence. Storm 2-7, wheels up, form on my wing. So I have to ask, what happens to a war that never ended and refuses to land? It started on a quiet night, too quiet for a country at war. I was at Vasylkiv Air Base, just outside Kyiv. No sirens, no drone alerts, just wind and the low hum of radar screens. That's when we saw it. A blip, fast, high altitude, gone in 2 seconds. Olena Koval, our radar officer, froze. That wasn't a drone, she said. She tried recalibrating. Then another one showed. Different direction, same speed. Again, it disappeared. No signal, no transponder, just vanished. It's probably just a glitch, she said. But she didn't believe it. Neither did I. I ordered an intercept. 2 MiG-29s, myself and Lieutenant Serhiy Shevchenko. We called him Hawk. Young, cocky, but sharp. He could turn on a ruble and track anything with wings. As I suited up, one of the older techs stopped me by the locker, looked nervous. "Colonel, this isn't new. We've seen them before." He handed me an old Soviet logbook. Yellow pages, handwritten notes. Dated 1987. Same pattern, same airspace, same vanishing blips. Only one thing was written in the margin, barely visible in pencil. Storm 2-7. The cold hit me hard when I stepped onto the tarmac. Vasylkiv Air Base was half frozen, half repaired. Snow covered the cracked concrete. Some hangars still showed burn marks from the missile strikes a year ago. We'd patched what we could, but it never really felt whole again. My MiG-29 stood in the open, engine covers off, steam rising from the exhaust vents like breath in the winter air. Ground crews moved around in silence. No jokes, no music, just work. Something about that night felt heavier than usual. Major Koval walked up beside me, helmet under her arm, eyes scanning the horizon. "Another ghost run?" she asked. I didn't answer right away, just nodded. We'd both read the reports, radar hits that blinked in and out, no visual contact, no missile lock, just flashes, then gone. Lieutenant Shevchenko jogged up behind us, young, eager. "Ready to light up the sky, Colonel?" I gave him a look. He stopped smiling. We suited up. Cockpit checks, comms test. Tower cleared us for takeoff. Wind was strong from the north. As I taxied down the runway, I looked out at the tree line. For a moment, I thought I saw a blinking red light low in the trees. Not a beacon, just one blink, then darkness. I pushed it out of my mind. Afterburners roared as we lifted into the night. The sky looked clear, but something about it felt crowded, like we weren't the only ones up there. The first radar ping came just 5 minutes out. Fast mover, unknown type, altitude match. Then it vanished. We flew north of Kyiv, dark sky stretching over endless snowfields below. No stars, no moon, just cloud cover glowing faint from the city behind us. I held steady in formation. Shevchenko on my right, Koval behind us on overwatch. Radios were clean, no chatter, no interference. For once, everything felt routine. Then Shevchenko's voice cracked in my headset. Tight, uncertain. "Colonel, I have visual contact. It's not a drone. I see a plane." I scanned my HUD. No target showing. My eyes jumped between radar and sky. Empty. "Say again, Hawk. What type?" "Old, glowing. It's static." Koval broke in. "I'm getting frost inside my canopy." I blinked. That wasn't possible. Cockpits don't freeze from the inside. I checked mine. Tiny lines of ice creeping along the glass. My breath fogged up despite the heating. Then our radios screamed. Not static, not jamming. Voices, low, rough, Russian, old Russian. "Storm, 2 to 7, wheels up, form on my wing." None of us said a word. I looked right. Shevchenko's MiG was climbing. Not high, just drifting upward, as if pulled. "Hawk, break left. Do you copy?" No answer. Only the voice again. "Storm, 2 to 7, fight, form up. We fly at dusk." And that's when I saw it. Just ahead, in the clouds, barely visible, a silhouette, sharp nose, slim wings. Not a MiG-29, a MiG-3, old, wrong. Glowing red numbers on the tail, 27. Then it vanished. So did Shevchenko. We launched again just before midnight. A 3-ship sortie, me and Bled, Koval on my left, Hawk on the far wing. Sky was clear, wind calm, almost too calm. 15 minutes into patrol, my HUD blinked, just a flicker. Koval's voice came over. Visual interference. My cockpit just went black for a second. I asked for a systems check. Everything showed normal. We kept flying. That's when Hawk called in. "Colonel, my controls are sluggish, and I'm seeing something." His voice was tight. I asked him to clarify. "It's at my 3 o'clock, glowing. It looks like a MiG, sir. Older model, canopy fogged, no nav lights." I looked where he said. Nothing, just empty sky. Then I noticed it, the frost, forming along my canopy glass from the inside. My breath fogged too fast. The temp readout hadn't dropped. Still, I was shivering. My fingers went numb on the stick. Koval's voice cracked through, barely audible. Hearing. Radio. Not ours. We all heard it. An old frequency, crackling, distorted, cut through our encrypted channel. A male voice, thick Russian accent, repeated the phrase, "Storm 27, wheels up. Form on my wing." We returned to base immediately. I couldn't shake the chill even after landing. Engineers found nothing wrong. No mechanical issues, no ECM signatures, just silence. Hawk didn't speak during debrief. He just looked at me and asked quietly, "Did you see it, sir? Red 27? I didn't answer, but I had seen something. Not with my eyes. With a part of me I thought I left behind years ago. And I wasn't sure it had stopped flying. Next morning, we were called into the operations room. The base commander slid a printed photo across the table. Grainy, taken by a civilian astronomer on Kyiv's outskirts. The image showed a blurred silhouette in the sky, midnight black angular wings, and one thing clear as day, red 27 on the tail. I stared at it for a long time. The woman who took it, Dr. Irina Bondarenko, was brought in. Said she caught it by accident, tracking a meteor shower. The object was flying too slow to be a jet, too high to be a drone. It wasn't reflecting light, she said. It was giving it off. Koval stayed quiet through most of the exchange. But when I mentioned the old Soviet call sign, her eyes locked on mine. She pulled a dusty binder from a shelf. It had the old insignia of the Soviet Air Defense Forces on the cover. Inside, a declassified fragment. 728th Guards Night Fighter Regiment. Last known operation, night patrol from Velika Demirka Airfield, 1943. Aircraft MiG-3, status, missing in action, no wreckage recovered. Koval tapped the sheet. Same call sign. Storm 2-7 was their squadron leader. I felt something cold settle in my chest, as if we weren't intercepting intruders, but being hailed by ghosts. Outside the window, Vasylkiv's runway shimmered in the morning heat. One of the MiG-29s from last night was already being refueled. Shevchenko stood beside it, helmet tucked under one arm, staring up at the sky. And I knew. He wasn't looking for enemies. He was waiting for formation. That night, we flew again. Standard 3-ship sweep. I led. Shevchenko off my right. Koval holding rear. Weather was calm. Sky clear. No moon. At 10:47 p.m., radar blinked. One faint contact. North of Vyshhorod. Altitude 6,000 meters. I called it out. Koval said nothing for a second. Then, it's moving, but not on the scope. Just the returns, like it's faking a path. We banked, lined up for intercept. Then, Channel 5 lit up. That's our encrypted backup. Should have been dark. A voice came through. Crackling. Male. Calm. Russian. Storm 2-7 airborne. Form on my wing. My blood ran cold. Koval's voice followed, urgent. That wasn't you, was it, Colonel? I didn't answer. The contact broke lock. Just vanished. We regrouped, turned south, heading back. Shevchenko fell silent. Not a word for 10 minutes. Then, just before touchdown, he muttered, "They're teaching me the route now." I looked over. His visor was still down, but I swear, his eyes were glowing faint red through the tint. I didn't sleep that night. The tower recorded no anomalies. But on the radio logs, Channel 5 had one outbound message at 10:49 p.m. 5 words. Same voice. Same call sign. Form up. Wheels up. Time. We grounded the squad for 48 hours. Shevchenko didn't protest. That's what worried me. Koval and I ran the logs. No official trace of the Channel 5 message. But I played her my in-flight recorder. We both heard it again. Fainter this time. Like the signal was decaying with every replay. We tried to cross-check the call sign. Storm 2-7. It didn't exist in our current roster. But when I visited the base archives, a room no one had touched in years, I found an old Soviet comms manual, dust thick as paint on the covers. Inside, I flipped past encrypted air codes, and there it was. Storm 2-7, assigned to MiG-3 night patrols, 7 28th Guards, circa 1943. Status, lost during winter raid, presumed KIA. No wreckage recovered. I brought the logbook back to the hangar. Shevchenko was there, standing alone beside his jet. I asked what he remembered from the flight. He looked up, real slow. It felt like déjà vu, like I'd flown it before, only I don't think it was me. That night, I had a dream. We were flying formation, tight, perfect. But when I turned my head, all the cockpits were empty, and my jet wasn't making a sound. Not the engines, not the wind, just nothing. We launched again 2 nights later. Same crew, minus Shevchenko. His bunk was made, sheets tight. His locker still locked. No explanation. Major Koval and I went up, both quiet. The base didn't push for answers. They just wanted more coverage over the city, as if routine could erase what happened. This time, we climbed higher, over 20,000 feet. It was clear at altitude, the kind of cold that makes metal feel brittle. I scanned the sky constantly. Koval kept adjusting her ECM suite, like she was chasing a noise only she could hear. Then our HUDs blinked. All at once, every screen flashed white and green, static, and then blanked out. No lock, no radar. Only the compass worked. I looked to my left and saw it. A silhouette pacing me, sleek and sharp. Old school frame. No heat, no light. Just shape. A MiG-3. Tail number painted red. 27. I radioed Koval. Visual contact left wing. Confirm? But she didn't answer. Her jet kept flying, smooth as if on autopilot. Then came the voice again. Male, calm, distant. Storm 2-7, wings level. You are out of formation. My blood ran cold. I banked away hard. Instinct took over. The MiG didn't follow. It stayed where it was, pacing nothing now. Back on the ground, Koval didn't remember anything after takeoff, but her flight data showed she followed that thing for 7 full minutes. No deviation, no awareness. There were no blips recorded, nothing in the logs. But that number, red 27, burned into my mind. The same number shows up again every time we fly, always just far enough away that no one else sees it. We needed answers, and the only lead we had left was a map. A dusty intel overlay Koval dug up, old Soviet-era airfields. One marked VD-decommissioned caught my eye. Velika Dimerka. It was 30 kilometers east, forested, half collapsed. Locals called it a ghost place. We took a jeep there at dawn. The trees had overgrown everything. Hangars rusted in on themselves. A control tower leaned like it wanted to fall, but hadn't found the courage. But the worst part was the silence. Koval walked toward an old comms shed. The door was stuck but gave way with one push. Inside, mold, shattered gauges, frost on the inside of the glass, and sitting on a warped metal desk, a reel-to-reel recorder. Still plugged in. I reached for it. It clicked on without power. No lights, just sound. At first it was static, then a voice, faint, male, Soviet callouts from the 40s. Storm 27, en route to grid 6, visual on bandits. Pause. Then again, form up, time to fly. Koval backed out of the room. I followed slower. Out by the edge of the cracked runway, a civilian stood. An old woman, thin scarf, silver hair. She didn't look surprised to see us. She pointed to the sky and said in a thick accent, "They still fly on storm nights. Red wings, always in formation." We looked up. Nothing. But the wind picked up, sharp, dry. The kind that makes you feel like something just passed over you, even when the sky's empty. Here is the next scene. We launched again that night. Another 3-ship patrol. Orders were the same. Sweep the sector northeast of Kyiv. Look for anything. But now, none of us trusted the sky. The storm rolled in fast. Not on radar, just appeared. Thick cloud bands, deep gray with flashes of red static inside. It wasn't natural. I led the formation. Koval flew left wing, Shevchenko to the right. About 20 minutes into the sortie, Shevchenko's voice came over comms. "Red tail number, 12 o'clock. It's not us. I'm going in." I ordered him to hold position, but he didn't respond. His MiG peeled off and vanished into the clouds. Koval and I tried to follow. We saw his afterburners blink once, then gone. Radar went blind again. Same pattern. Blank screens, open mics full of static. Then I heard it. Storm 2-7, form on me. It didn't come from any of us. It wasn't a recording either. It was current, and whoever said it wasn't on any known frequency. Back at base, they lost our signal entirely for 6 minutes. Flight telemetry logged nothing during that time, like we weren't even in the sky. We returned alone. No sign of Shevchenko. His beacon never activated. We found his jet the next morning. Landed. Gear down. Engines cold. canopy sealed, but no pilot. Inside, his flight log was open. The last line scribbled. "They saw me. They want me to join. It's already happening." The jet was too perfect. No damage, no stress marks, not even frostbite on the panels. Like it had just returned from a training run. Except it hadn't. And Shevchenko was gone. I stood inside the hangar, staring at it for hours. Koval didn't say much. She just stared at the red 27 scribbled across the fogged canopy, like someone traced it from the inside. We hadn't noticed it before. Later that night, I reviewed the sortie audio. Found a 5-second clip from his comms channel. Faint voice under the static. It wasn't Shevchenko's. Sounded older, slower. "Form up, time to fly again." The same voice that had spoken to me. Twice now. The mechanics at Vasylkiv said the flight recorder had corrupted, missing timestamps, loops in the telemetry. But they did pull one thing, a snapshot from the last radar ping. 3 silhouettes flying in formation. 2 MiG-29s, 1 MiG-3. Koval said nothing, just closed the file and whispered, "We're being pulled into it." I asked her what she meant. She didn't answer. That night, she didn't report for duty. Her quarters were empty. Her helmet left sitting on the bunk. Her radio, still warm, and playing looped static. Then, Storm 2-7 on approach. Open runway. I went back to the old intelligence wing at Vasylkiv, sealed since 2022 after the bombings. Dust thick enough to muffle boots. I don't know what I was looking for. Maybe something to tell me I wasn't losing my mind. In a broken file cabinet, behind Cold War era manuals, I found it. A brittle envelope marked 728th GNFR. Inside, a single photo. 9 Soviet pilots in front of their MiG-3s. Snow in the background. One of them stood slightly apart from the rest. Helmet on. Saluting. I recognized the tail number behind him, red 27. I flipped the photo, handwritten in pencil. Storm 2-7, first to vanish, first to return. I played the reel-to-reel recorder beside the cabinet, out of instinct more than logic. It whirred to life after a cough of dust, static, then a voice. Soviet-era phrasing, but too distorted to place. Then, Kyiv, skies open. Formation inbound. Do not break rank. The lights flickered. Outside, the alert siren wailed once, short and sharp. False alarm, maybe. Or maybe not. When I looked out across the runway, the clouds hung too low, too still. We scrambled that night. Hawk's old jet, still marked for recovery, sat untouched on the tarmac. But the radar showed something. Multiple fast-moving targets entering from the northeast. No squawk, no ID. Major Koval and I took off together. The sky was clean above the city. Too clean, almost polished. The stars felt wrong. Stretched, like they were being watched from behind glass. We climbed to intercept height. The targets were moving like nothing I've seen, looping, pacing us, then blinking away just as our radars locked. I broke right, Koval kept high. Then she said, calm, but shaken, "Red 27, he's above me." I looked up, nothing, but her voice didn't come again. Her transponder froze mid-signal. Seconds later, her jet dropped below radar entirely. No explosion, no flare, just gone. Her last words barely audible through the crackling channel. "I see the wing now. They want me to form up." I circled above the Dnipro, trying to raise anyone. Air traffic, command, even civilian towers. Nothing. Static crushed every frequency. I could feel the stick vibrating faintly in my hands, like the jet itself was anxious. Then my cockpit temperature dropped. Frost bloomed on the inside of the canopy. My HUD blinked, faded, and the radar screen filled with targets, all tagged, Storm 2 to 7, dozens, maybe hundreds, all around me, same bearing, same altitude, flying tight, perfect formation. But my eyes saw nothing. Then came the voice. Comrades, form up. Mission never ended. It wasn't Koval. It wasn't Hawk. It wasn't me, but it was my voice. Warped, slower, like I'd aged 40 years. I hit the throttle, peeled out south. As I pulled away, the MiG groaned like something was holding it back. A shadow blinked in and out off my left wing. Red 27, just pacing me, watching. I landed hard at Vasylkiv. No radio clearance, no tower response. Just the runway lights flickering, like someone was still guiding me in. When I stepped down from the MiG, ground crew stared like they'd seen a ghost. One tech whispered, "You've been gone 5 hours." I checked my watch. Barely 43 minutes had passed. Inside ops, everything was silent. No chatter, no orders, just the low hum of old CRT monitors. Then the radar officer called me over, his face pale. "Colonel, they're still flying." He pointed at the screen. Contacts filled the airspace again, blinking in and out. No transponders, no friend or foe. Each tag labeled the same, Storm 27. I reached for the mic. My hand shook. Before I could speak, the radio came alive, crackling with a familiar voice. "This is Red 27, wheels up, waiting on your wing, comrade." And just like that, the radar filled again. Too many to count, all circling Kyiv. Some battles don't end, some wings never land.